Micromanagement wasn't scalable. So at the recent town hall, guys, Google has announced that it is going to eliminate 35% of its middle management teams. And this brings up the discussion that all of us need to have about how many people can one person effectively manage. Now, I've been managing people since I had a full head of hair and it wasn't white. And I'll tell you that through all of my years, my opinion is that you can't manage more than 12 people effectively. 10 to 12 people is all really one person can handle. Now, you can have 120 people reporting to one person with several managers underneath them, but each individual manager all the way up in the chain should never have more than a dozen reporting to them.
Yep. Yeah, man. So as you see, we are talking about Google's manager purge, okay? And basically firing 35% of their managers. And I'll end up breaking down in just a minute why I said basically, all right? And it actually could prove to be one of Google's smartest moves in recent years. So at an internal all hands Google VP of People Analytics, which is an interesting role in itself, said that we now have 35% fewer managers with small teams than a year ago. And basically what he was saying is if you manage fewer than 3 people, you lost your title. All right. So go ahead and give us that back. All right. And I said basically because most actually weren't fired. All right. They were just converted or like back to individual contributors. And so that being said, Sundar Pichai said, we need to be more efficient as we scale so we don't solve everything with headcount. And so if you're translating that, he's basically saying, hey, too many people managing too little. And you can't have 1 billion people managing 2 and 3 people at a time, and they all got crazy salaries. You're looking at that like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So, when you think of managers, you're thinking of 7, 10, but you got 2, and we paying you all this money. Listen, it's not necessarily a layoff, okay? But it was Google admitting what everybody in the tech industry pretty much knows already. Most middle managers don't add value. Now, now bigger teams, yes, but these smaller teams, they're not adding as much value as you think. And if you're managing 1 or 2 people, you're not really leading. Like you're practically coordinating. And coordination, it really don't need a crazy salary and a stock package, right? And that's what Google's trying to get themselves out of. And I think there are going to be some other companies that are going to do the same thing, right? So, whether or not it was a budget cut, I think they were trying to correct the culture of what's been getting out of hand. You know what I mean? Like there was a culture pandemic, or actually during the pandemic, right? People with job hopping and in tech, job hopping, getting laptops and jumping. No, I'm at this job. Now I'm jumping at this one. And now I'm jumping at this one. Now the culture has changed. Google's saying, hey, we doing the same thing. Our culture is changing. And from what it looks like, Google's management stack got too bloated, right? It got big for no reason type. Layers on layers of approvals, syncs, check-ins. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about meetings that we're going to have. I hate that kind of stuff. Like, why am I having a meeting right now to discuss another meeting that we're going to have? It just makes no sense to me. But anyways, we look at that and we see that stuff happening over and over again. And then things that we need done aren't moving fast or they're not moving at all. And now you're seeing, right, like managers got the titles, but it was only because there were no individual contributor promotions left. So they create these roles to promote tenure and not necessarily out of necessity. So, and Google's trying to fix that. And so they're trying to get it done fast. And that's why they made that big chop. Okay. And at the end of the day, here's the truth. Most middle managers in tech, they don't make decisions. All they do is escalate. They don't really develop people for real. They end up avoiding conflict. And then they don't necessarily lead. All they're doing is following processes. Like I personally have been blessed to have some great tech managers in the past. I will say, like, they did lead. And there were things that, were going on, and they really developed individuals, but for a lot of these people out here, it's just not the case, man. Cash and checks, man. Professional meeting goers. And that's what Google is cutting. Okay. It's not hard to see. And normally you would see a manager have like a crazy amount of meetings on their calendar, and that's a part of it, like, yeah. But when you are a professional meeting goer, it's something wrong. And you probably don't even necessarily like it. You probably don't necessarily like it. And it comes with that title sometimes, but they're like, yo, we got to do something. And so if you zoom out a little bit, right, every single major tech company, they do have this same problem. Like, look at Meta, same problem. Microsoft, same thing. You know what I mean? And Google, Amazon, did I say that? But they proved that, we can eliminate this and the company is still moving fine. And there's probably going to be some good innovation comes out of this as well, because, when they were younger in the game, they used to do the same thing. Because as an individual contributor, you trying to do your thing, you trying to make something shake. So I think it's going to have some good effects that will come out of this for Google for sure. And then, like, as far as the ripple effects outside of Google, I think other companies are going to follow suit for sure. If you're managing one or two people, the jig is up, bro. The jig is up. All right. If your calendar is the only deliverable you have, you became a manager just for the title, not necessarily the work. You're on borrowed time, buddy. The jig is up. AI tools can already do coordination. Like, we're seeing that easy. I've built automations that can coordinate, and so what companies now want are builders and not necessarily middlemen. So people who can use AI to get some things done. And that's what we're going to see some more things of, right? We're going to see more of that. How can we get these individual contributor roles done and then get them to use AI and be able to get stuff done better and at a faster pace? So I think what's going to come out of this, you're going to have managers that end up managing and managing well, right? Because there's not as many. You're going to have less of this title inflation, right, throughout the industry, more productivity, and then Google just forcing the entire industry to evolve, right? Like, this is a big monster company. But what do y'all think? Like, do y'all think this was a good idea? Are y'all dealing with bloat at your company and you looking at your manager sideways because you're like, man, you ain't doing nothing? You know what I mean? Or are you a manager? You got one or three people under you and you killing it and you think this is necessary. And I have no idea what I'm talking about. Put it in the comments, let me know. But the link to the creator will be in the description below. If you got something out of this, do me a favor, hit the like button. Also, go ahead and subscribe. Otherwise, you might not see me again. Y'all know how YouTube works. And I appreciate you, and I'll see you in a minute.